Oh, wow. Wow. This is not good. But I'm on. What the hell? I guess this is a tester. I guess. What's the comments on this moment? This is crazy. I can't see myself. Oh, okay. Aha! I haven't used StreamYard in a good minute. In a real good minute. All right. Okay. Hello. Okay. Now that I see myself, I'm sharing screens. What do you mean? Why am I? What? Allow studio. Okay. Allow. Okay. This is Looney Tunes. Let me see if I can.
Donald Trump is panicking as offer. Donald Trump apparently only prepared for a 4 to 5 day war against Iran, and he assumed that if the United States were to kill the Ayatollah Khomeini, that Iran would immediately want a ceasefire and that Donald Trump would be able to declare a victory and that war would not spread throughout the region. Donald Trump was warned that his personal views that that's what would take place were wrong, and he was indeed wrong. Hat tip to Ynet. They were the first to report, and they're based out of Israel, that Donald Trump is now begging Iran for a ceasefire, and Iran immediately rejected it and said when there will not be a ceasefire will be on our terms. And now one of the major issues the United States is facing is, will we be running out of munitions? Do we have the capabilities for a long-term war if this drags out for many, many months? And in addition, we've learned some horrific news this morning that a number of our soldiers, a number of U.S. service members have indeed been killed in action during the war already. We've learned that there have been, so far, 3 U.S. service members killed in action. 5 have been seriously wounded so far during Operation Epic Fury, is what the Trump regime is calling it. We're referring to it at the Midas Touch Network as Operation Epstein Fury, or the Jeffrey Epstein War. The U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, announced the deaths of these 3 U.S. service members. 5 are seriously wounded. We're following.
I'm on a different site right now. But thank you for joining anyway. Thank you for joining anyway. I haven't been on Restream in a year. Well, we're going to see how this goes.
Following that, we're expecting, sadly, the deaths to increase. These casualties, as open source intelligence defender also notes, these casualties are likely the result of Iranian ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones that have been striking U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, with some bases suffering much more serious damage than had been previously reported or announced by CENTCOM. Indeed, our government is giving false information, saying that the attacks have not been serious against our bases. Only
Easy, you're still connected to me. As long as you're connected to my channel, you're always going to be connected to me. But either way,
for us to learn later that they are indeed very, very serious. And now our service members have been killed, and Donald Trump has blood on his hands, and this whole regime in the United States has blood on their hands. Iranian's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, he is alive, and he's stating this morning on state-run television that the Interim Leadership Council is now operational and has assumed constitutional control of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Pezeshkian adds that we will continue the path of the leader with strength. Our armed forces are crushing the bases of enemies. No sign by Iran that they will be stopping retaliatory actions against U.S. bases and U.S. interests within the Middle East anytime soon. In fact, here's a statement that just came out from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They state that the 7th and 8th waves of what they're referring to as Operation True Promise are underway, targeting U.S. bases across the region. The IRGC claims that the Ali al-Salam Air Base in Kuwait has been completely disabled. They're claiming the number is 560 dead and wounded when it comes to Americans, with U.S. Central Command putting that number far less. And I do think that Iran exaggerates, but I also know that our government, the Trump regime, lies about everything. So we're going to be paying close attention to that.
I still haven't seen a body. I still haven't seen a dead body anywhere. You said it confirmed. If you confirm something, we need to see it. So I don't believe jack shit that he or anybody else says or thinks.
But the retaliation by Iran has indeed been fierce. In the central Jerusalem or central Israel area, in a city called Beit Shemesh, there were at least 6 individuals killed in this central Israel area. 14 people are still missing. We expect that the death toll will be rising there with ballistic missile and other strikes by the Iranian regime. We are seeing more Iranian strikes in Bahrain. Also, an Iranian Shahed drone hit a French naval base in Abu Dhabi. We can show the video of that.
Sure, his son can take over, but I still need to see a dead body. Think about it. Trump has lied so much about everything. It's ridiculous. I was arguing for a whole 5 minutes to a guy that said that a dozen eggs cost $1.50. When I slapped him with some facts, he got upset. So I ended up kicking him off of my chat. But they're still fighting over there. And dozens of lives are being destroyed. Trump is responsible for hitting a girls' school. That's 106 bodies gone. We're talking about children. We're not talking about adults. We're not talking about teenagers. We're talking about young kids. Blood is on his hands, not theirs.
Right here.
And didn't even find out one damn rocket, one damn missile. Not rocket, nuclear bomb. didn't find not one bomb in the one area. So basically, they're doing this over a lie.
Multiple explosions have been from Iranian drones, and ballistic missiles were reported at the Zayed that serves Abu Dhabi within the United Arab Emirates. You can see here Iranian reports stated that a drone struck a UAE oil platform in the Persian Gulf, and it does appear that this oil platform in the Persian Gulf has indeed been hit. And we've been seeing this in Doha. We've been seeing this in Bahrain. We've been seeing in Doha, in Qatar. We've been seeing this in UAE, in all of the kind of neighboring countries. An update on the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this is where 20 to 25% of the liquefied natural gas, our oil supply, traverses through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a narrow strait off of Iran. Well, the Strait of Hormuz now is at a standstill as Iran has apparently begun firing on all of the oil tankers that are near it. There's huge congestion on either side. And we will see what goes down there. Reuters is confirming as well that at least 150 tankers, including crude and LNG vessels, dropped anchor in open Gulf waters beyond the Strait of Hormuz, and dozens more were stationary on the other side of the choke point, shipping data showed after U.S. and Israel strikes on Iran. I'll just show you what's going on in Iran. I showed videos about this morning as well. But throughout Iran right now, in their city centers and city squares, you have a lot of Iranians coming out calling for revenge after the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. You've heard a lot of people in Iran are saying death to America. You hear chants like that. Just look at this scene, even in Yemen, for example, because one of the things to note about the Ayatollah is that the reach and influence was beyond Iran. This is why it was so foolish for Donald Trump.
Real quick, Barb, how many people total I had in the chat last night? Was it up to 200? I assume it was either yesterday, last night, or the day before. I'm gonna call StreamYard. We're gonna have a conversation, because if you want me to pay 50, 60 bucks a month for this shit, I'm on a free account right now. So, but if you want me to pay 50 and 60 bucks, what the no, you got to reimburse me. This is ridiculous, bro. I don't remember. It was a lot. Yeah, it was, but I remember it. I don't know. I give up trying on StreamYard. I just give up trying. But anyway.
To believe if you just kill the Ayatollah, you're going to disable the Iranian regime. You're going to get a new, more extreme Ayatollah, is what the CIA warned Donald Trump. We've been talking about here, and we've been seeing American consulates and embassies across the Middle East now being attacked. And we also saw a number of agencies, intelligence.
I know that the Trump engage in a new war with Iran might be to mock the idea that he has no plan, but I don't think that's true. There is one long-standing principle that's always at play with Trump, and that is that he does nothing unless it helps himself. He is a self-interested player, and Iran helps Trump in one major way, which Trump himself dropped hints about all over social media. For example, on Truth Social on Saturday morning, while the bombing was underway, Trump wrote, "Iran tried to interfere in 2020-2024 elections to stop Trump and now faces renewed war with the United States." First of all, Trump doesn't care about foreign countries meddling in our elections. If he did, he would be bombing Russia right now. So why then would Trump invoke Iran meddling in our elections as he bombs the country? Because, put simply, he is trying to validate the claim that our elections are not secure so that he can use that as a pretext to usurp control of the election. Here's an excerpt from the Washington Post reporting from just a couple of days ago. Pro-Trump activists who say they are in coordination with the White House are...
Well, good luck with that, because a lot of people are leaving. Or excuse me, a lot of people from the right are retiring because of his nonsense. Good luck with that.
Circulating a 17-page draft executive order that claims China interfered in the 2020 election as a basis to declare a national emergency that would unlock extraordinary presidential power over voting. Now, I have a major gripe with this framing. Declaring a national emergency would not unlock extraordinary presidential power over voting. There is no presidential power over voting. The states control elections, not the federal government, period. But that part notwithstanding, Trump is very clearly looking for claims of foreign interference to serve as a basis to declare a national emergency. He's threatened to nationalize the election for months. This is how he's going to try and do it. Don't let him fool you. Again, Trump is nothing if not self-interested. He's doing all of this to help himself and his consolidation on his grip on power. I should also point out a post from Donald Trump from 2 weeks ago. The Democrats refuse to vote for voter ID or citizenship. The reason is very simple. They want to continue to cheat in elections. This was not what our founders desired. I have searched the depths of legal arguments not yet articulated or vetted on this subject, and will be presenting an irrefutable one in the very near future. There will be voter ID for the midterm elections, whether approved by Congress or not. Now, this is a reference to the SAVE Act, which is not only voter ID, it also forces states to hand over their voter rolls, which has never been done before. And if you're wondering why the federal government, which does not administer elections, would need the voter rolls, it's because if they're going to try and take control of the elections, which Trump has repeatedly said he wants to do, nationalize the election, they might want to know whose votes to suppress and whose votes to count. The voter rolls allow them to do that. And when Trump said in his post that he will be presenting a, quote, irrefutable legal argument on the subject, this is it. It's him using extraordinary war powers to claim that our national security is at risk and that he's, quote, unlocking some super secret extraordinary power that's necessary to keep us safe and secure. This is the natural conclusion of a long game that Trump's been playing to help himself and his party. Because remember, these people do not care about democracy, certainly not abroad. If they did, they wouldn't be weakening it right here at home. They don't care about foreign interference in elections. If they did, they'd have beef with the one country who we know interferes in our elections. Again, that's Russia. What they care about is consolidating their grip on power and interfering in our elections themselves so that they don't lose control, which they are at imminent risk of doing in these upcoming midterm elections. Remember, too, Trump already tried this once. This isn't some theoretical plan. This isn't some fantastical idea. He wanted to seize the voting machines in Georgia in 2020. He tried to get Brad Raffensperger, the Georgia Secretary of State, to find 11,780 votes in 2020. This year, he sent his DNI, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, into Georgia to collect all of the ballots. He's sending troops into U.S. cities who would then be able to serve as his boots on the ground if and when he tries to seize ballot machines again. He's got an attorney general in place who herself was an election denier. All of the pieces are in place. And he's not being subtle about it. He's going to use Iran as a pawn in his effort to keep his party in control of the U.S. government. Here's the silver lining, though. Because he is so ham-handed, his scheme is already apparent. I've spoken with Mark Elias and other attorneys who see the writing on the wall. If and when Trump asserts his non-existent authority to take over elections, he will be sued and he will lose in court. But our job collectively is to spread the word, because the more...
You don't care about being sued in court. You know how many times he's been sued? Impeach his ass. Let's see. The transcripts. I'm not going to go into any transcripts. Oh, where did I put it? All right. Iran strikes were launched without approval from Congress, deeply dividing lawmakers. And it also says, in effort to eliminate an effort to limit the abilities of the president to carry out sustained military actions in Iran without approval of Congress is taking on a new un, un urgency, after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes aimed at overthrowing the regime. The strikes, which began early Saturday, were launched without congressional authorization. Article 1 at the Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the powers the power to declare war. Top congressional Democrats and Republicans that made up a group known as the Gang of Eight party leaders from both chambers, as well as intelligence communities leadership, were notified by the White House shortly before the attack. This boy's a hardhead. This boy's a hardhead. And he's going to end up getting us murdered. Internal reactions to the overnight attacks has not spilled cleanly on partisan. I think it's partisan lines. Partisan lines through most praise have come from Republicans, including Senator Majority Leader John Thorne and the House Speaker Mike Johnson. An asshole. Today, Iran is facing several consequences of in its evil actions, John wrote in his statement. President Trump and the administration have made every effort to pursue peaceful and di- diplomatic solutions. What is wrong with these fucking people? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Let me stop sharing. This is getting on my nerves. So, where was I at? President Trump and his administration have made effort to pursue peaceful and diplomatic solutions for a response to the Iraqi regime sustained am, am, nuclear ambitions, and development terrorism and the murder of Americans and even their own people. Can you name me a time where they've been fucked with? Who's been fucked? Ever did Biden get the memo when he was in office? I didn't think Biden got the memo when he was in office that Iran was fucking with us. And what about the bombs that were over there? Okay, allegedly. Remember in 2020, he stated that there were nuclear bombs over there, or to some degree that he neutralized their base or whatever. I don't know. This is the reason why I say we need a body. We need a body. If you don't produce me a body, I don't believe you. I am confident it will successfully carry out the very clearly stated goals of this operation. What operation? Wrote Rick Crawford, a Republican from Arkansas. The chair of the House Intelligence Committee. I would strongly advise Iran regime yield President Trump's warning. Heed President Trump's warning. Most Democrats and handful of Republicans sharply criticized the operation. The administration has not provided Congress and the American people with critical details about the scope and immediacy of the threat. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, wrote in his statement. The administration must brief Congress, including a immediate, including an mediation, all senators classified briefing in the public testimony to answer these volatile questions, which I know he won't. Because he's basically said, this is my party and I rock if I want to. Let me see if this works. Oh, it does. Trump thought he could. Trump thought he could do the strike, and they wouldn't do anything. But his son has taken over, and they have vowed to retaliate. I'm not worried about the retaliation. You come in there without a plan. You come in there without a strategy. You just say, go in there and start bombing. And already our facility was attacked last night, along with a girls' school. Congratulations. This is who you voted for. This is who you voted for. I don't feel like reading the rest of this shit. But then reading is fundamental. By the president's own words, Americans' heroes must be lost. And just going by that statement alone, his statement alone, goes to show you he doesn't care. Just going by that statement alone. Let's see. Let me read this real quick. My phone's about to piss me off. Let me see. Americans' heroes. Oh, excuse me. Americans' heroes may be lost. Senator Mark Warren, Democrat from Virginia, I guess, wrote in a statement that alone should have demanded the highest level of scrutiny. The highest level of scrutiny. You know what? Fuck it. I don't feel like reading the rest of this shit. Where did it go? I think this is it. Oops, let me get this off of there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't used a live stream in a long time.
The military strikes in Iran, but that opposition is not all along party lines. NPR Congressional reporter Sam Greenglass joins us. Sam, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Scott.
Tell us about how some of the lawmakers are responding.
Well, we know that the White House briefed key congressional leadership last night, a group known as the Gang of Eight, which includes top Democrats and Republicans. But broadly looking at the reaction, praise has come mostly from Republicans. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina called President Trump's remarks overnight the catalyst for the most historic change in the Middle East in 1,000 years. Most Democrats...
Why are you calling for a ceasefire now?
Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona wrote that the U.S. can, quote, support the Iranian people without sending our troops to die. But you're right, the reaction is not totally.
We got our guys, so we don't have to fight anymore.
Democrat wrote that Trump has been willing to do what's right.
It's too late now. You in the mud.
You have Republicans like
it's too late to pull out now.
Who are deeply opposed to this kind of intervention, calling the strikes acts of war unauthorized by Congress.
It is too late to pull out now, sir.
Unauthorized acts of war. What's he referring to?
Yeah, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution empowers Congress, not the
You've
president,
done
to
so
declare
much
war.
damage.
Presidents long before Trump have engaged in military intervention without going through Congress. Just last year, Trump ordered airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites. And more recently, the administration has been striking alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and launched an operation in Venezuela that led to the arrest of its president, Nicolas Maduro. There have been efforts by some members of Congress to reassert its authority in this space. Those efforts have failed, though, so far, but they are ongoing, and that's where this will head next in Congress.
And tell us about those efforts. What more do you know?
Senators Tim Kaine, Democrat of Virginia, and Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, were already pursuing legislation to curb Trump's ability to take military action without congressional approval. And in the House, Massey and Democrat Ro Khanna were already planning to force votes next week on a war powers resolution. In a post this morning, Khanna called for the House to convene Monday to vote.
Trump says his goal is to topple the Iranian regime. But the American people are tired of regime change wars that cost us billions of dollars and risk our lives. Every member of Congress must go on record today on how they will vote on Thomas Massey and my war powers resolution.
Why would they want to do that?
Say that even if they're not successful, they can influence the president's behavior, are important for accountability. And
why would they want to meet up? That to me, if I'm Iran, I blast you in the face because you took out our leader, you took out our general. This is not a small country we're talking about here. Why would they meet up? So my boss and I, my boss and I are both veterans. We talked about this shit all the time. What they would do if they called us back to service. I don't think they would call you back to service. I don't think they would. But then again, I'm not in the military, so what we would why would he risk more lives? That doesn't compute. That doesn't compute with me at all. And somebody invited me, by the way, to talk about Trump. I don't want to talk about that bastard. Because y'all gonna make fucking excuses for it. The billions of dollars of equipment that was the billions of dollars of equipment that was left. That's on him. That's on Trump. He called for this. And all of a sudden, he wants to pull back because he left some equipment behind. Fuck that. No. Let the military people handle that. And if they go in and then if they end up suffering and most of them don't come back, you can blame him for that. If you're 35, you're fine. No, no disrespect. I mean, we're talking about people who are over 35 right now. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that with people over or a little bit over 40, 50. No, they wouldn't do that. No. Well, let me see. What did Jasmine say? I was looking for that, and she finally downloaded the shit today. She wants to get him out of there, but you can't do it. You cannot do it. Otherwise, it would have been done already. So I'm not getting my hopes up. Come on. I'm not getting my hopes up for anything. I'm not doing it.
Joining me now is the Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's a member of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committee. She's running for the Democratic primary for the Senate in Texas, which is why we had booked you to be on our show, and we always appreciate your time, although the news has overtaken that story for the moment. So I want to get your view largely as a member of Congress, because we have had wars in that part of the world that have ended up being a real cause of loss of blood and treasure. We can have a debate about whether we should be having a war with Iran, and we don't really have much of a debate about whether the Iranian regime is a bad regime. But Congress was not asked about this.
No, we were not, and that's the problem. You know, there are people that will land on all sides of this conflict and what should be happening or shouldn't be happening. But the one thing that I want to remind the American people of is that we have a Constitution. And frankly, as members of Congress, we swore an oath to the Constitution as well as the president. And right now, what we are clearly witnessing is lawlessness yet again from this administration. And my question to my colleagues in a very serious way is, will you put aside your loyalty to this orange man and actually focus on your loyalty and your oath to the Constitution, which says that only Congress has the power to declare war? It is time to rein him in a bipartisan way.
And do you think that kind of bipartisan support exists? There's actually a lot more bipartisan support recently in Congress than we had grown to expect over the course of the last year. Whether or not this is about approving a war, it's fundamentally about Congress asserting its role as the branch of government that is constitutionally allowed to determine whether war occurs.
That's exactly right. And listen, Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna have been working together quite often on bipartisan legislation, including the Epstein files. And so they do have a war powers resolution that they have been working on together. And I do know that Ro Khanna has made it clear that he wants to bring that to the floor on Monday. My question to Speaker Johnson is, how many people are going to have to die because this president just decided that he was going to do whatever he wanted to and to ignore our congressional authority and our congressional powers? I don't think that we should wait till Monday. And this is being said as someone who literally has an election on Tuesday. I've got to make sure that I am doing as a sitting member of the House. And I think Speaker Johnson needs to call us in right now, and we need to deal with this right now.
The authorization for the use of military force, which was passed in 2001 in the wake of 9/11.
Or tuck his tail between his legs like he did a couple times before, and just go on vacation. Just sit back, drink some milk, and hopefully this blows over. But I'm not holding my fucking breath.
11 has been sort of stretched and extended, largely allowing the president certain powers as it relates to certain terrorist groups, named terrorist groups. It didn't name ISIS, but it's been legally thought to understand ISIS. It does not extend to the Iranian regime, whatever one thinks of the Iranian regime. You're a lawyer. At some point, if the administration wants to make a case about why America should be bombing Iran, there are lots of places to make that case. I do want to remind people, the president has not gone to Congress asking for an AUMF. This is not even a debate technically that has happened in Congress.
That's correct. I mean, and here's the thing. I was concerned when he went into Venezuela because I said that because of the cowardice of our Republican colleagues, this was going to give a permission structure for bad behavior. And that's exactly what we've seen. Now, we know that he's been flirting with this.
Correct.
In fact, it was last weekend
Correct.
that I thought that he probably was going to do this because he has a history of doing this right on the weekend when we're not.
Well, technically, it's Congress plus Senate. Congress has to talk. Congress has to get together, look in the Democratic light. Then, if it comes to a vote, no matter what, let's just say 6-4, or excuse me, 6-3, or 8-3, or 8-2. Then comes to a vote. Then it goes to the Senate. Senate puts it on the president's desk, and then the president can react on it, and he can do whatever the hell he wants to do, as long as it goes by the three branches, the three executive. I had it written down. Damn it! Congressional, executive, whatever. Three fucking branches.
In when we can ask questions immediately and demand a briefing immediately. And so it is understandable that people have whatever issues that they have with Maduro, just like you've stated. People have whatever issues they have with the regime that is in control over in the Middle East. But the problem that we have is that you are not following the law. Like, that's the issue. If you feel as if you have everything that you need to actually engage in these types of actions, then why is it that you aren't coming to Congress? That is the big question. And my argument is that because it's not, that you don't have the legal authority. When you go out on your social media platform and you say things like, well, they interfered with the election, that is not a reason to go and drop bombs and kill people and risk the lives of the people that have sworn an oath to protect this country. Right now, people's sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, mothers, and fathers may end up being thrust into a war because of his maniacal issues as relates to an election, at the same time that he is flirting with us not even having elections.
You know what? I tend to agree with you there. Listen, put George Bush back in office. George Bush Jr. Just put him back in office. I don't care. As long as we get this some bitch out of office. He hit children, bombed children, and no one lifts an eye. There were people on vacations. Do you know the people in Dubai were at the airports where one of the bombs hit the airport, one of the restaurants in the airport? Now I'm definitely you know what, I'm definitely looking into Burkina Faso now. If he touches Ibrahim Traoré, I swear it's going to be curtains for him. It is going to be curtains for Trump. It's going to be curtains for America, to be perfectly honest with you. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think West Africa is not in bed in China necessarily, but if they have to, they will go there. They will fucking go there.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you for your time this morning. Again, I'm sorry, I want to talk to you about Texas. Hopefully you and I will have a chance to talk again before Tuesday. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas is a contender for the Democratic nomination.
I hope she wins too. I hope she wins. I hope she wins. Enough is enough. because if she wins, they're getting up out of there, and he is going to prison. Oh, and by the way, the files, there was the one of the files in the Epstein files were missing, and it had Trump's name on it. The files contain the little girl that went to the police and told what specifically happened to her when she was 13, 14 years old, and she gave Trump fellatio and bit and used her teeth and started laughing, and he used his pimp hand. Guess what? You can't find him. I wonder why. When they read him off, it was like, and Pam Bondi needs her ass whooped. You as a Republican should know that if you want justice, do it the right way. Don't protect the freaking criminal. Oh, let me not say criminal. How about he has a list of shit that he's involved in. He's a bad businessman, a thief, a liar, a criminal, a cheat. What you call them people who like to fantasize about their own kids, like that's just, when are we ever going to say enough is enough with this guy? Again, I'm a Republican. If I'm a Republican, you're a Republican. We're just looking at you and we're looking at him and say, no, we don't want him there. We want any and everybody to help. Put The Rock in there. Put Stephen A. Smith in there. Never mind. But don't put Trump in there. No, too late. Pedophile. Yeah, pedophile. I ain't ashamed to say it. Pedophile. Put that motherfucker in there. I don't want the entire screen in there. I don't want the entire screen in there. Oh, gosh. Either way. He's supposed to be making an announcement soon. I don't know how soon, but Trump is supposed to be making some crazy announcement about the whole unenlivenment of whatchamacallit. So let's see. And out of all people, an 86-year-old man, you had to bomb an 86-year-old man. Why can't you bomb somebody in their 30s and 40s who's acting recklessly? This dude is sitting there chilling. Still want to see a body. I don't care what nobody says. Let me see. This damn thing don't want to work right. Does not want to work right. Does not want to work right. All right, cool.
United States that Trump had to act without seeking. Here's my take.
My first reaction to news of the death of Ayatollah Khamenei was relief. Relief for the 92 million Iranians who are freed from the grip of an 86-year-old tyrant, a man who over nearly 4 decades ran his country into poverty at home and isolation abroad. Khamenei was the hardest of the hardliners who defined Iran's unyielding opposition, not only to America and the West and Israel, but also to freedom for his own people. He shaped the modern Islamic Republic into the strange hybrid regime that it is, run by clerics, military officers, and bureaucrats,
I thought it went through.
all
My bad, y'all.
repressive,
I thought it went through.
dysfunctional, and corrupt to the core.
Damn.
No, here's my take. My first reaction to news of the death of Ayatollah Khamenei was relief. Relief for the 92 million Iranians who are freed from the grip of an 86-year-old tyrant, a man who over nearly 4 decades ran his country into poverty at home and isolation abroad. Khamenei was the hardest of the hardliners who defined Iran's unyielding opposition, not only to America and the West and Israel, but also to freedom for his own people. He shaped the modern Islamic Republic into the strange hybrid regime that it is, run by clerics, military officers, and bureaucrats, all repressive, dysfunctional, and corrupt to the core. No one should mourn his passing. But when we step back and ask, where does this go next? Things look murky. President Trump has chosen to go to war with a country that did not pose an imminent threat to the United States.
Thank you.
His claims to the contrary are belied by his own words. After the United States bombed Iran last June, the president loudly and repeatedly declared that he had obliterated Iran's nuclear program. Yet 8 months later, he asks us to believe that this obliterated program posed such an urgent threat to the United States that Trump had to act without seeking authorization from the United States Congress. In his brief speech announcing the attack, President Trump revealed the true purpose of the military action: regime change. He explicitly called on the Iranian people to overthrow their government. In doing so, he has defined the purpose of this war and the measure by which it will be judged a success or failure. Historically, regime change from the air has rarely taken place. I cannot think of a single case in which a government fell without military forces on the ground actually doing the toppling. And more broadly, the record of American-sponsored regime change in the Middle East is not a happy one, from Afghanistan to Iraq to Libya. There's always the possibility that this time will be different, that Iranians are more educated and desperate for freedom, but it is likely to be a long and complex struggle. Fears of a broader regional war are likely unfounded because Iran has already acted in self-defeating ways that are uniting the region against it. Rather than drive a wedge between the United States and the Gulf states, which had expressed neutrality in this conflict, Tehran went after the Gulf states in attacks that caused little military damage but incensed those countries. Above all is the basic reality: Iran is very weak. Iran's military battered, dozens of its leaders killed in airstrikes. Its allies like Hezbollah and Hamas are also in tatters. Meanwhile, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE are bristling with military might. Yet none of this will easily translate into success on the terms that Trump has implied: regime change and a substantially better government for the long-suffering Iranian people.
Whatever. As I said last night, let me stop sharing shit. As I said last night, we don't know what type of capabilities that they have. We don't know what type of drones or whatever the case may be. We don't know. Now they're talking about retaliation. You'll see what that looks like. All because of one idiot. One. And I hope Johnson they fire him. I want him underneath the jail because he's just as much as responsible as Trump. I want his ass underneath the fucking jail. I want Pam Bundy. I want all of her bank accounts confiscated. I want all that shit gone. And let's not forget, well, you might as well add in the other chick too. I'm not worried about fucking gas. I'm worried about food. I had some guy the other day say that he can get a dozen eggs for $1.50 because Trump did such a tremendous job with the economy. I said, where can I find these eggs and where are you from? And he said, North Carolina. So I looked it up, and apparently this dude is either smoking rocks or he's glazing Trump like crazy, right? Because I looked it up, 2026, actually, excuse me. Actually, I started 2025, right? It's $4.46 for a dozen eggs. He said, isn't it 2020? Isn't it 2023? It's 2020. I said, fine. So I went 2026, and it went from the highest number to the lowest number. I think Maine has the lowest. I'm not sure. I have to re-look that up. Maine is the lowest. We, Nevadians, have to pay $6.25 for a dozen things of eggs. You know, looked it up. North Carolina was $5. Let me look this shit up again. The price. I just said I'll entertain this shit for a while. The price of eggs. Price of eggs in 2026. And it depends, and then, like I said, it depending on where you're from. Depending on where you are from. A dozen eggs. The price of a dozen eggs today. The price of a dozen eggs today, the actual retail price approximately is $3.59. Like I said, it all depends on where you're from. In let's try North Carolina. Jesus Christ. As of early 2026, the average price of a dozen eggs in North Carolina is approximately $5.14 to $5.60. Following the significant prices violating voluntary, whatever that fucking word is. Doesn't even count because you can go to Walmart, Walgreens. No, that's not Walgreens. They don't even have a Walgreens in North Carolina, I don't think. But where it is, if you go to another store, if you go to like a gas station or like a pharmacy, you're going to end up paying $6 for a price of eggs. Trump did so much good in this economy. No, he didn't. I would just assume that he told you the poop that came out of his butt was gold, and you believed in it. You believed in it so much. I'm talking about all these Trump supporters. They believe that the poop that came out of his butt, which, by the way, speaking of being humiliated, Obama, Obama said something about diaper change. I don't know, but anyway, there is a some type of glaze that these people have for this guy who was 6'4" and chubby as shit. I mean, the steak puff marshmallow man doesn't have shit on Trump, right? But he literally has a thing of shit in his hands and he says, "Here you go, turn it in." He did the same thing to Nicki Minaj. "Here, turn it in. You're going to get millions and millions of dollars for it. You're going to get millions for my shit." And this dumb broad goes, "Huh? Really?" Does nothing for the economy, does nothing for them, but yet he starts wars and rumors of wars. Not saying that he's the Antichrist, he's too stupid to be the Antichrist. But the literal combination, because we all knew, most of us knew he was going to do this, but I didn't think he was going to do this to the extent of we're going to waste billions of dollars. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, this costs $1.3 billion, excuse me. Wars cost money. The drones cost money. Airstrikes cost money. Sending in troops cost money. Meanwhile, you're talking about tariffs. You're talking about increasing tariffs upon 15% amongst Americans that we have to pay for. Impeachment is good. And if you Republicans, I'm going to stress this beyond belief, beyond my power, beyond everything that I love. If you Republicans do not concede that this bum needs to be impeached, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I know I missed some of your comments. But I remember I found some money with $11. I'm a Republican and I want someone younger. No, because they're tired of the lies. Both sides are tired of the lies. If anything, younger people are going to crush both sides. They're just going to crush it. You better hope that Jasmine can save. Jasmine can save and give hope. And yes, Lisa, it is true that Kamala Harris did endorse Jasmine. I don't know why I couldn't say the name. Whatever happened to those Trump phones, by the way? You know why? Oh, you know why Trump came out with his phone, his alleged phone, his gold phone? Because Obama came out with his phone. You know why Trump wanted to do the whole Iran thing? It's because Obama did it. So there's specific glazing. There's some specific glazing that's going on with this president and Obama. Everywhere he go, that's all he says is, Obama, he doesn't know how to make deals. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do that. But if I was your president, I'll be making deals. And then he was talking about birth certificates, and then I was like, now wait a minute, ain't your wife thing expired? I don't know. I'm just sick of it because their lives are lost. Lives are lost. Kids are. They're just coming out of school, right? Some of them had to take the underground tunnels just to get to and stay there for the remainders of the times that the bombs are going off. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And I swear, I don't know if I'm coming on. I don't know if I'm coming on or not, but I better not. I better not get one Trump supporters. Never mind. Never mind. Because I don't even want to bring up that whole mess. You gotta if my son was 7 years old and he was selected or he was radicalized to be in the regime, I will hope that they will kill him. Huh? That you will hope that they will kill your son? You don't know what you're talking about. See, this but you're young. You don't talk. Click. I hope you get ran over by a car. We're talking about 6, 7, 8 year olds in school, and a bomb is laying next to them and it goes off. They are not responsible for what happens in this world. They're getting educated. But they're strapping bombs on these kids' back.
Most likely outcome is that a badly bruised government stays in power with new faces. Perhaps the military becomes more powerful and the mullahs less so. Perhaps Iran comes back to the table with even more concessions on the nuclear issue. President Trump seems already to have recognized the complexity of the regime change strategy and has floated the idea that one of his off-ramps might be to deal with new leaders of the same regime. Once you call for the overthrow of a government, that becomes the definition of success or failure. There is also the legacy of the way that Trump went to war. The United States has a messy and far from perfect record of using force abroad, but in modern times it has usually done so by working with international law and organizations, building a broad coalition of allies, and consulting with Congress and the American people. None of this was done in Operation Epic Fury, an apt name. This was a decision-making process that was fast and furious, as much about a dramatic show of strength as anything else. As other countries look around and think about what kind of world they are living in, what rules they can rely on, what institutions they look to for stability, they're confronted by the reality that the world's leading nation, the creator of the international rules-based system, has said loudly and clearly, might makes right. It's a new rule, and one that will gladden the hearts of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. And this just in, U.S. Central Command says 3 U.S. service members were killed in action as part of Operation Epic Fury, and 5 more were seriously wounded. Joining me now is retired Admiral James Stavridis, the former NATO's Supreme Allied Commander and a Vice Chair at the Carlyle Group. Admiral, welcome, and tell us first, what has surprised you so far about the military side of things as you look at where we stand now, day 2, day 3?
I'm happy to tell you what surprised me, and I will, but first, whatever your political persuasion, wherever you are on the political spectrum, or however you feel about this set of events, please take a moment and hold those servicemen and women in your thoughts, your prayers. Raise a glass to them if that is your tradition. That is 50,000 U.S. sailors, airmen, Marines, Army, commanded, by the way, by an admiral, Admiral Brad Cooper of U.S. Central Command. And we're just learning of the deaths of 3 and injuries. Sadly, I think there'll be more to come. Fareed, what has surprised me, and I should get over being surprised by this, but is the ruthless lethality, particularly of the Israelis, who are able in their side of the strike to take out the equivalent of President Trump, General Dan Kane, Secretary Pete Hegseth. I mean, this really is a decapitation. So that has been a surprise to get in that easily and take out that layer of leadership. Now, however, the hard part starts.
You know, you point out that this lethality and precision is unusual. I was talking to the historian Timothy Naftali, who pointed out the U.S. in the past had tried assassinations, famously of people like Fidel Castro, and had always botched them. This is a new feature on the international stage.
Breaking fucking news. Breaking news. This some. Bleh. Hold on, it was just there. Hold on, it was just there. Oh, I forgot the updates. I get sick of these damn updates. Let's see. Oh, goddamn updates and shit. Hold on. Come on. Come on.
Not be buying oil from Russia. That's a big stop. Now I got to get China to do the same thing. You know, that is relatively easy compared to what we just did.
I hate this guy.
Week in the Middle East. Middle East was 3,000 years, and we got it done. This is 3 years, and I think we'll get it done. I think that President Putin, I think, is going to I think he wants to get it done. We'll see. There's a great animosity between him and Zelensky. You probably have noticed, right? And it's. I think it's hurting the process. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Curious, why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged?
Well, I can't do that, but I authorized for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. They came in through the, border. They came in because we had an open border policy. And as soon as I heard that, I said, a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser. And they've entered they've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. We're bringing them back. But that's a really bad thing. And they did it at a level that probably not, many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs.
What is he talking about?
And a lot of the Venezuelan drugs come in through the sea, so you get to see that. But we're going to stop them by land also.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat, but I think a lot of other countries are feeling heat too. We're not going to let this country, our country, be ruined because other people want to drop, as you say, their worst. They have given us their worst. They've loaded up our country with prisoners, with mentally ill people that are seriously ill, criminally ill. And we're not going to take it. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things. And I can tell you, we've taken care of the sea. There's nobody. We're watching. We're watching. And if we see it, we'll save it. Yeah, please.
On the ships, though, sir, there are Republicans and Democrats up on the Hill concerned that in the briefings they've gotten about those attacks, they're not necessarily getting information about who was on them and what exactly was on those ships. Can you ensure that?
But they are given information that they were loaded up with drugs, and that's the thing that matters. When they're loaded up with drugs, they're fair game. And every one of those ships they're not ships, they're boats, they're speedboats. They're extremely fast, record-setting type speedboats.
Boats
that
that ran out of gas.
They're drug sellers. But they know one thing, and they all have the same thing in common. There's
you blew it up.
Drug dust.
Congratulations.
They call it fentanyl dust all over the boat after those bombs go off, and you can take along.
The drugs that come,
we know,
the
we
drugs
know
in the
before, we know
United
when they go
States,
out.
and you worried about Venezuela.
We have, much information about each boat that goes out. Deep, strong information. Yeah, please.
Sir, you're going to have Volodymyr Zelensky here this week. What is your message at this stage of the war for him? And shy of tomahawks.
To who is it?
For Zelensky.
Yeah.
Shy of tomahawks with Ukraine. Are you considering other options, and will you speak with Vladimir Putin?
No, we're looking at other options. We are. President Zelensky's coming in. I'm not a fan of the war. I'm not a fan of the way it started. It should have never happened. It wouldn't have started if I were president. The election was rigged. And because of that, we lost a lot of lives have been lost because of that war. Not American lives, but if I can save a lot of lives, that's why I'm in it. I want to save lives. I've had 8 wars. The Prime Minister of Pakistan got up the other day, said so beautifully, says, you saved millions of lives. He told that to a group of people right in this office. He said the president saved millions of lives. And I think what he's referring to is the fact that that would have been
before I say something that'll get my channel flag, I'm going to go grab
We're shut. In fact, we have the new ambassador to India right here. They're well represented. You better represent us, not them. Okay. But Sergio's going to do a great job. He's going to do a great job. But no, we'll be talking about the war with him, and we'll be talking about. I mean, they want to go offensive. I'll make a determination on that, but they would like to go offensive. You know that. And we'll have to make a determination.
Can I follow up question? Given you have the FBI director and attorney general here today, Jim Jordan has asked Jack Smith to appear in the House Judiciary.
You mean deranged, Jack? He's a deranged individual. Yeah.
He's asked him to.
Well, they should. I'm surprised it takes so long. You know, we're talking about violent crime. What about the crime against a political opponent? That's what we have to talk about too.
Jordan would like to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement What do you think the committee will find out?
I think it was the worst weaponization of a political opponent in the history of the world, let alone this country. And I hope that everybody's, they're involved in it. I'm not. I'm the one that had to suffer through it and ultimately win. But what they did was criminal. Deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal. And I noticed his interviewer was, I think that was Weissman. And I hope they're going to look into Weissman too. Weissman's a bad guy. And he had somebody in Lisa, who was his puppet, worked in the office really as the top person. And I think that she should be looked at very strongly. There was tremendous criminal activity having to do. If we don't have fair elections in this country, we're not going to have a country. And I've said it from the beginning, fair elections and borders. And we need also fair press, because if you don't have fair press, it's very tough. And we've got the strongest border of anybody. Nobody has a border. We have a border where the numbers just came out again. You saw 0 people came in illegally. Now, we do take people into our country legally, but 0 people. But, you're talking about a different subject. You're talking about political crime. They have committed massive political crime. I hope they're looking at Shifty Schiff. I hope they're looking at all these people. And I'm allowed to find out. I'm allowed to, I'm, in theory, the chief law enforcement officer. But I have a very good, talented group. This is about something else. But I hope they're looking at political crime, because there's never been so much political crime against a political opponent as what I had to go through. They raided my house in Florida. It was an illegal raid. I have a lawsuit that was doing very well. And when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know. How do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, right? And I don't know what to do with the lawsuit. It's a great lawsuit. And now I won. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know. But that was a lawsuit that was very strong, very powerful. They raided illegally my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. They went through the drawers of my young son. They went through all of the cabinets and drawers of the first lady. She walked in, she said, wow, what happened? Because she's very meticulous. And this wasn't so meticulous. As she looked into the drawers and she saw everything a mess. It's what they did against a person that just got out of office. And then you look at these corrupt people. You look at Hunter Biden. You look at the signature. As an example, the Europen. I just signed so many different things. An admiral, a 4-star general. I'm signing them left and right, the commissions. And by the way, I want to compliment John Thune and also Mike, our great speaker. But John Thune, all of a sudden I'm getting these things by the hundreds. I was getting one every 2 weeks. It would have been 4 years before you got them in more. You would have had some that didn't even get in, all because of Democrat obstruction. So John Thune did a great job. I must have signed 200 into the administration. We're just about caught up. It's amazing. And so compliments to John. He had to do some things that were very tough to do that he didn't want to do, but he was forced to do it by the Democrats. And as far as the shutdown's concerned, this is a Democrat Schumer shutdown. And he's trying to do it to get relevance back into the party because he's a loser. I've known him all his life. He's always been sort of a loser, but an intelligent one. But I think he's losing IQ points with time. I think that happens. I hope it hasn't happened with me. I know if it did, you guys will let me know about it very quickly.
Question on violent crime, sir. Here in D.C., a judge has given the 2 teenagers that beat up ex-coach Snapper Big Balls probation.
It's incredible.
And no jail time. Is this justice?
Janine Pirro is doing a fantastic job, and she is beside herself because you have these radical left judges that they beat the hell out of this guy. And it was many people against this one guy who was really trying to protect his girlfriend. He didn't want his hooded over the door but they really beat him up badly. That just happened, right? Wow, that's terrible. I think the judge should be ashamed of himself. That's a big problem. They can do their job and then they go into a court and the people are protected by these, I don't know where they come from. Where do these people come from? Where do the judges come from? I want to compliment on behalf of Pam and Todd and all of us because, Cash, I think that Janine has done a fantastic job. And the case I heard was like flawless. It's a flawless case. They have them on tape. They have everything. And then a judge gives them a little probation. These are rough guys. And they're young. And if that happens, they're going to grow up. They're going to be real bad. They're going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So, Sergey Boris has just gotten back from India.
Right.
What were the conversations like with Prime Minister Modi and the other?
I think they were great. He reported to me that you're great. He's a great man, you know. Modi is a great man. That he loves Trump. Now, I don't know if the word love, I don't want you to take that any different. I don't want to destroy his political career, okay? But you have to understand, I've watched India for years. It's an incredible country. And every single year you'd have a new leader. I mean, some would be in there for a few months. And this was year after year after year. And my friend has been there now for a long time. And he's assured me there will be no oil purchased from Russia. I don't know, maybe that's a breaking story. Can I say that? Would you say? There will be no oil. He's not buying his oil from Russia. It started. You know, you can't do it immediately. It's a little bit of a process. But the process is going to be over with soon. And all we want from President Putin is stop this. Stop killing Ukrainians and stop killing Russians, because he's killing a lot of Russians. Again, it doesn't make him look good. It's a war that he should have won in 1 week, and he's now going into his 4th year. That does not make this big old war machine look good. But willing to settle. I thought we had a deal. The hatred of the two leaders is very, you know, it's an obstacle. It's an obstacle. There's no question about it. But I thought we had a deal 2 months ago. Who would think I created peace in the Middle East and can't get the two guys to settle? But I think we'll get them. But if India doesn't buy oil, it makes it much easier. And they're not going to buy. They assured me they will, within a short period of time, they will not be buying oil from Russia. And they'll go back to Russia after the war's over. Jennifer?
On the shutdown, sir, are FBI officials being paid right now? Are all the FBI employees being paid? And are all
Well, that's what I understand. I hope so.
Thanks to you, every person who's present, the 1811, especially that the FBI are going to receive their paychecks.
Got a lot of people paid, actually. We got the people that we want paid, okay? And we want the FBI paid, we want the military paid. We got the people that we want paid. And I'll tell you, the Democrats, they don't talk about this. You know, we're getting rid of programs that we didn't like, but that were negotiated in, but we didn't like. We're terminating those programs, and they're going to be terminated on a permanent basis.
Does anybody know?
And it's thousands of people, and it's
does anybody know what he's talking about?
Millions of dollars. We're getting rid of a lot of things that we never wanted.
What programs?
Because of the fact that they made this stupid move. And they don't want to talk about it. You know, they have their day coming up. I hear very few people are going to be there. By the way.
Everything that comes out of your mouth is acid.
They want to have their day in the sun. But they should really make a deal. So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vogt. But Russell Vogt is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated. Tell him it's terminated, Jennifer. All right.
On Hamas, sir, what is your understanding of the pace of returning the deceased hostages? Are you pleased?
Well, they're looking for them. Absolutely. They're looking. So we have the living hostages all back. They returned some more today. It's a gruesome process. I almost hate to talk about it. But they're digging. They're actually digging. There are areas where they're digging and they're finding a lot of bodies. Then they have to separate the bodies. You wouldn't believe this. And some of those bodies have
Where's
been in there
the
a long
one
time.
body?
And some of them are under rubble. They have to remove rubble. But there are graves. And some are in tunnels that
How
died
do you
in
know
tunnels.
you killed the
way
prime
down
minister?
under
How do
there.
you know?
And the tunnels are like 3 feet. Can you believe it? 3 feet high. They lived like this for a long period of time. It's a horrible atrocity. At the same time, we, meaning Israel, but I knew everything they were doing pretty much. I knew most of the things they were doing, but they've killed probably 70,000 of these people, Hamas. And I said, it's time now. So we'll see what happens. We'll also see what happens. Your next question is going to be the weapons. We want the weapons to be given up, sacrificed, and they've agreed to do it. Now they have to do it. And if they don't do it, we'll do it.
CENTCOM today suggests that Hamas needs to hurry up and disarm and follow your comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
That it was the head of CENTCOM saying that. Is that not a signal to Hamas, to the rest of the world, that at
He's
some point the
doing
US
all
military
this
will
while the
be more
war is
directly
going,
engaged.
still
We won't need
going.
the US military. We won't
He's
need it.
doing
Well,
all
not
this
just
while the
because
war
we're
is
very
still
much
going on
involved.
in Iraq.
If we weren't involved, there wouldn't be peace. If we didn't destroy the nuclear capability of Iran, that deal would have never happened for two reasons. The Arab nations would not have felt bold enough to do it because you have a very powerful, at that time, Iran. It's not powerful anymore between what Israel and us did. Because, the attack was, if you look at it, we helped them very much. They will be the first to tell you, including shooting down thousands of drones that were coming into Israel. We shot them down. We were shooting them down like it was target practice, but we shot down thousands of drones and missiles also going into Israel. But between what we did to Iran that way with the, conventional, we will call it, and what see that beautiful plane, that B-2, I noticed it on the desk. I always thought it was beautiful, but I never understood it. Now I understand it. It took in hundreds of thousands of bombs in the form of two, but hundreds of thousands of pounds of bombs. And every single bomb hit perfectly. Then they sent Tomahawks in. They sent 30 Tomahawks on top of it. And that was totally, CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as Trump said, because I said obliterated. Obliterated is not a strong enough word, actually. And you saw the Atomic Energy Commission came out and said the word obliteration is very, very, think of it. They came in under potential fire. They entered Iran airspace late at night in the dark, no moon. The moon was low for a reason. Was what time we picked it. Couldn't see anything. And they hit every target and they weren't hit. Nobody saw that plane. That plane is stealth. Nobody saw it. The problem with that is it may be stealth today, but tomorrow it won't be. And we just ordered about 20 brand new.
Y'all voted for this fucker? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves,
Trick. I said, yeah, it did. It's amazing. The flying wing. It's
no reason for the U.S. military to get involved in Gaza.
No, I don't see that. No, I think we're going to handle it very well. We'll be helping Israel, but we have other countries.
Take care of yourself.
We signed, many countries signed, and many of those countries relatively are very strong military powers. And Hamas has no support. See, Hamas had the support of Iran, and now Iran says, don't get us involved. The last time they got them involved didn't work out too well. So they used to have the support of Iran. Today, Iran they're trying to survive. When I heard the reports 2 weeks ago, Iran's looking to build a nuclear weapon. I said, don't worry about it. They got a lot of things they want to do before nuclear weapons. I said, the last thing they want to do is a nuclear weapon. It didn't work out. And if they did a nuclear weapon before they got even close, that site would be attacked and it would be wiped out. Yeah.
Mr. President, you're meeting with President Xi in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If you can't come to an agreement or a deal at that meeting, are we in for a sustained trade war with China?
Well, you're in one now. Look, we have 100% tariff. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be exposed as being a nothing. We would have no defense. They've used tariffs on us. But we've never had anybody sitting in that chair that felt the need to do it. And they've allowed us to be $37 trillion in debt, et cetera, et cetera. Tariffs are a very important tool for our defense, for our national security. If we don't have tariffs, we're not going to have national security. As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line. And because of tariffs, they all want to negotiate much differently. We're making a good deal. And then I heard that they're shooting at each other. And I said during one of my conversations, are you guys going to go to war? Two nuclear powers. We are thinking about, I said, here's the deal. You go to war, I'm going to put a 200% tariff. I'm going to stop you from doing any business in the United States. I said it to both of them. Within 24 hours, the war ended. That would have been a nuclear war.
Bullshit.
And again, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who was here 2 weeks ago, said that man saved many millions of lives in front of a whole group of people because he thought it was going to be war. But when it came to war or having to pay massive tariffs, the tariffs overrode. That's why it's so important. Not only the money, we're taking in trillions of dollars, not only the money, the power to keep peace, the power to be used for good is enormous. But a lot of people didn't understand tariffs. It's also made us very rich. We have a big case coming up in the Supreme Court, and I will tell you, that's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. Because if we don't win that case, we will be a weakened, troubled, financial mess for many, many years to come. I don't even know if survivable is a good term. And if we do, we're going to be the most powerful economic country in the world. And all we're doing is using them as a defense against what took place for many years. China would charge us tariffs. It was incredible, but we weren't allowed to charge. We're allowed to do whatever we want. We just had presidents that didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And it was nothing. But of the 8 wars, I was saying 7, of the 8 wars, I would say tariffs are directly responsible for me ending 6 of them, 5 or 6. Without the tariffs, you have wars raging all over the world. With the tariffs, other than Russia, we have no wars out there. And we made a lot of good friends, too. Tariffs are so important to our national security. If we don't have tariffs, we don't have national security. Our country would suffer a level that, because they use so strongly on us. As
all right, enough of this bum. Yeah, the shit that we gotta pay for. Bullshit. Anyways, I'll be on